Welcome back for another video. My name is Manpreet. I'm a self-healing coach and mentor. And today I'm talking more about insecure attachment with money. And I wanted to share my story actually with growing a business when having a critical parent that lives in my mind. So my dad took his life about 17 years ago when I'm recording this video. And I have him in my mind. Like many of you, if you had a critical parent when you were young and you're trying to achieve, you're trying to create success, you're trying to move on from the childhood trauma, you're trying to grow a business, you're trying to, go up the corporate ladder, you're trying to change your life around, you're trying to grow past trauma. And you have this voice that's still in your head. How do you do that? How do you move forwards when the critical parent is going to be internalized, right? So some of you may still have the critical parent in your life, and that means that they you may require boundaries with them. My program Heal Your Inner Child is a great resource to help you with this. I'll leave that in the notes below if you need it at all, but you'll need boundaries with the real critical parent in real life so that you are really managing your energy around them. But what I wanted to talk about is more about the critical parent that lives within your own mind. So the parts of you that cause you to be perfect, that are trying to force you to overwork and overdo and overachieve. Because that is that part inside of you that you've internalized that I'm only good enough if I achieve these things, if I achieve this goal, if I make this money. And I wanted to talk about today how the critical parent can really mess with you and therefore how it can mess with your money. And if you're an entrepreneur, how it can really mess with that too. And what happened to me was as soon as I started my business, which was 4 years ago, and I started a podcast, I started to hear a very negative voice. But to be fair, it has always been part of me. But then that at that point 4 years ago, I started to go down my own path. So initially, I'd worked in the corporate world, I'd done the things that everybody does. And, it was pretty easy for me. I didn't really have to think about it. And then I chose my own path. And, I felt guilt and shame and fear for sharing my story out there. That's, initially what I used to talk about. Like, and you can find all my podcasts here on YouTube from the beginning. And I've won awards for that podcast. It's been listened all over the world now. But at the beginning, I was terrified. And I remember I couldn't sleep all night because I could just hear that this isn't good, like nobody's going to care, it's not going to work. And so I think the very first thing about having a critical parent is the fear of failure, is that you can be so afraid of failing because you were criticized so much as a child that you basically push yourself so much in order to not fail, right? So that might mean perfectionism, that might mean overworking, that might be overcommitting even with your investments because you're like, oh my God, I must achieve. I must reach my goal. I must have this perfect launch. I must, get that job and that promotion. I must do that. And if I don't, then I'm a complete failure and failing is unsafe. You're not doing this consciously, but I'm hoping that this video is making you aware of that pattern, which is like, oh my God, I totally do that. I totally do that. What is that about? Right? And the reason why is because of that part of you that's feeling afraid that it is going to fail. So what you want to do is you want to become the leader of your parts, your subconscious parts, your shadow parts. So the critical part of you. And just kind of say, for example, this is what I say, which is failure is part of an entrepreneur journey. Failure is part of growth. Failure is part of being human. When you learned to drive, you weren't perfect at driving day one. You had to fail so many times. And being an environment for yourself where actually failure is safe and it's encouraged because we can learn. Every time we fail, we can learn and learn and learn, right? So basically, that is a huge impact of having a critical parent is failure. It's also rejection. When you felt that nothing was good enough for you as a child, that no matter what you did, they were never happy. And the constant rejection that you felt that you just weren't quite up to the bar. So you've become anxious just trying to make sure people don't reject you. And then you come into this environment of being a heart-centered spiritual entrepreneur, and people reject you. People don't buy from you, people don't follow you, people don't like your videos if you're creating content. And that can feel horrible. It can feel scary. It can feel, again, that wound from the younger years. So again, you can do the parts work and sort of speak to that part. I love to journal on this and just kind of be like, how are you feeling? Like why are you what rejection are you afraid of? What is it that you need? And often that part of me will be like, I just need to not be rejected. But rejection is redirection, is what I say to that part. Is like, if someone rejects you for being who you truly are, that's okay, because they're creating space for the people that truly choose you. And that's one thing I would do. And the other thing I would do is I would just tune in, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and notice what, how old am I? How old is the part of me that is fearing rejection so much? And, even when I'm saying this to you, as I'm recording this video, because I'm very new to YouTube and I'm a solo run business, so I haven't got the best setup here. Apologies, but I've got a lot to say. But that fear of rejection is real for me because I have a younger part and I can kind of feel her in my chest. And she's like, oh, what if we get rejected? We're showing up in a new way. We've created a YouTube channel and we're like, we're recording videos and you're not perfect. And what if people reject you? What if people say horrible things? And I just have to go, okay, so how old am I with that feeling? And just even now, while I tune in with you, I'm like, she's about 8. And just talking about her is releasing that tension in my chest. And she's 8. And she is at a school. When I was a kid, I moved around a lot to different schools, and she's got no friends. She's being bullied a little bit, actually. And she's feeling so rejected, so like she doesn't fit in, so like she doesn't belong. And she's scared. She's lonely. She doesn't feel safe in the school environment. And she doesn't have a supportive environment at home. So the loneliness feels just so terrible. And she's learned to use food to find a way to soothe it and to be her friend. So what I do is I just ask her how she feels, and she feels scared, and she feels lonely, and she feels some shame. I ask her what she needs, and she just wants a friend. She just wants to be seen. She just wants to be heard. So I can be that for that part of me. So you can be that for your parts, right? You can go, okay, you can visualize and be that young girl again, go into that school and be her friend. You can deliver her the most perfect friends in that moment. And just as I'm speaking this out loud to you, I'm just sending some friends her way that are really like kind and see her and love spending time with her and respect her, and she's already feeling lighter. She's already feeling better. And then I may also, so I'll do that with the visualization, and I'll also just speak to her and just be like, you know what, you are wonderful, you are kind, you are so caring, and people will be so lucky to have a friend. And it's hard on days like this when you start a new school, but people are going to see how amazing you are, and then they're, going to be your friend. And just that fear of rejection, it kind of soothes it and makes it better. And then, like, just as I'm doing this with you guys, I'm doing this real time. She's kind of like showing me, and I've been doing this for a long, long time in a child work. So I have a real connection. And I know when my clients first start doing this, they have some resistance and they have some fear. And I really recommend the Heal Your Inner Child course. But you can find great resources like inner child meditations. And I have so many great podcasts on this as well, with doing creative things to help you to build that connection. But now, because I have quite a strong connection, she'll just like flash me an image. So she's just flashing me an image there of like my dad. My dad was narcissistic. He was quite abusive, I guess, emotionally. And so she's showing me all these times where he's rejected her for being the reason why he's angry. So he's the critical parent. And then what I'm doing now, just as I'm recording this video with you, I'm just zooming out with her. I'm showing her his life and how the way he was and his anger and his resentment and the way his temper was nothing to do with her. It was actually to do with his life. And actually reminding her of all the moments he showed her love and care, which wasn't as many, but there was the odd one. And just that makes her go, oh, like that's not my fault that dad's like that. No, it's not your fault. That's to do with him and it's not your fault at all. And she's like, okay, I feel a bit better. So just doing this exercise, like I've been doing it real time with you guys, that pain in my chest has loosened. The tightness in my throat has calmed down. And I'm here being imperfect, recording a very imperfect video for you without all of the fancy setup because I wanted to just share with you that having a critical parent can mean that we don't always even take action. We can procrastinate, we can self-sabotage, we can aim for perfection, that we're not coming on to YouTube and sharing our voice and our stories of a way to help others because we don't feel like we're good enough yet. But as my channel expands over the years, you are going to see these videos get better and better and higher quality and and I will be different, but I'm always going to remember this video of me doing the imperfect video, the very first videos where I could feel that, critical parent telling me that it's not safe for me to spread my wings and be someone different. So the way that critical parent impacts us with money is that we sometimes will get these intuitive nudges of what we're supposed to do to change our financial situation, like maybe starting a business, but we struggle to do it because of the perfectionism, because of the procrastination, because of the self-sabotage. And behind that is those fears of failure, fear of rejection, of being rejected online, or whatever. But you can soothe those parts of you. That means that you'll continue to follow your intuitive nudge. And then eventually, one day it will be something that is a money generator for you, which is what my podcast was in the beginning. So I felt very similar to some of the feelings I've been feeling today ahead of recording these YouTube videos. But I remember that I felt like that when I did my podcast. And after I did it like 10 or 20 times, I loved it. I still love it. I still have it. And I'm sure I'll feel that way about YouTube one day as well, because I love talking and sharing stories and talking about my mad life and helping you guys in some way to go, it's okay that you had a critical parent. It's okay that you've got this voice in your head. It doesn't have to make you weaker. You can use parts work, shadow work, inner child work to be able to speak to those parts of you and allow them to, calm the fear down. So I'm really into personal development and spirituality and all of the things. I come from a background of complex trauma, complex PTSD, and I always felt like it wasn't possible for me to grow past the trauma. It wasn't possible for me to expand and have more money and have a great relationship. But that's not true. It's just that I had to make these parts of me feel safe. And that's what we do here on the channel. And I have a challenge coming up on the 21st of October 2024 for 5 days where I'll be tapping with you for money to work on things like the critical parent and the impact of the critical parent, how it's affected your worthiness, how it's affected how safe that you feel, how it's affected your inner child, how it's affected you to be able to receive, because that's the biggest thing. When you have had a critical parent, you don't feel worthy because from such a young age, you were told that you are not good enough and you are not worthy enough. And maybe if you jump through that hoop, that then you'll be good enough for me. And actually, your parent never meant that. That was their trauma and that was their pain. It's not about you. And you can repair that by being there for your younger self. And slowly but surely, by you being your cheerleader, by you not ignoring your emotions, by you not ignoring these uncomfortable feelings about you stepping into your power and choosing a different path for yourself, that when you do that, your worth starts to slowly grow. When I did this, when I was like single forever, I actually got a healthy partner who is now my husband. And the same thing happens with money. So you are worthy of having more. And yes, you've got a roommate that's a bit mean, that sounds like your parent. And in business, I that voice meant that I overworked like a nutcase. I pushed myself constantly. I was full on abusive. I was in fight mode with myself, talking to myself badly. Nothing was ever good enough. I pushed myself to do more. I pushed myself to achieve more. I pushed myself to have higher goals. And, I did get some success because I grew a six-figure business, but it didn't feel good and it made me sick and it completely drained my body. So you don't want to let the critical parent take over your like brain and drive the car. You just want it to be in the back seat and you're like, hey, don't mess with me. Like, I love you. I can understand where you come from, but we're not doing that anymore. And I know it sounds wild, but in the challenge, you will find out more details about this because there's going to be a group as well, and we'll be together during the challenge in a messaging group on Telegram. And I'll be doing shadow work. So I can literally send you a voice note about what to do with your critical parent, and we'll be tapping on it as well. But I've given you those couple of tools today to really, really help you. So the talking to your part and the inner child piece to help disarm the critical parent in your mind, and also to bring awareness to how the critical parent is maybe running your life, especially if you are a high achiever and it's pushing you constantly, if you're an entrepreneur or in your career journey, or even pushing you in your healing journey. Like, it's okay to like put your tools down and learn how to be more caring and learn how to be like the healthier mum and the healthier dad to yourself, because you're going to get better results. It's going to not harm your body. It's not going to make you sick. And you are also going to be you'll be more regulated. So you'll be able to get more intuitive ideas and then you'll be able to move through them. Even when, like today, filming, early in my YouTube journey, imperfect, but I'm still able to take that action because I'm not going to let that critical parent that's in my head run my life. And I really hope that you're not either. And do come to the challenge. It's completely free for 5 days. If you are watching this after the 28th of October, 2024, has finished, but you can buy the challenge. So I'll put the details all below for you. And hopefully I will see you there on live on Zoom together. But don't worry, I'm going to be creating lots more videos about this. And this is like the third part of the money series, but I will have more coming very, very soon.